Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion, Social Media and Your Vote. I'm Heather Bryant, and I'm being joined by my co-host, Jalen Hike. We both work for Fair Count, a nonpartisan nonprofit focused on increasing civic engagement and voter participation across the South. As such, we do not advocate for the election, re-election, nor defeat of any candidate or political party. We're grateful for your presence with us here this evening, and we're looking forward to having this conversation with you all. I am a lead organizer on the Fair Count Faith team, and I work on faith-based organizing and engagement like this. So, Jalen, can you share more about your role?
I sure can. Thank you. I'm excited about this conversation too. I'm an organizer with Fair Count working to engage community members in Baldwin and Putnam County in Georgia. Because our vote is our voice, part of our work is helping people make a plan to vote. So before we get started, let's get that covered now.
Absolutely. So it's easy to vote in Georgia and wherever you are out there tonight, too. So here in Georgia, there are three easy options to vote. You can vote by mail with an absentee ballot. The application request period is open now until October 28th. Another option is to vote early in person in your county starting October 17th through November 4th. The third option is to vote on the actual election day, which is Tuesday, November 8th. So make sure to visit your My Voter page at mvp.sos.ga.gov to register, locate your early voting locations in your area, request an absentee ballot, and more. So, now that that's out of the way, Jalen, can you please introduce our panelists?
Yes, I would love to. We'll start with Mrs. Jalecia McRae. Thank you for joining us, and please take this opportunity to greet our audience and tell them a bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jalecia. I'm a senior at Augusta University studying nursing. I'll be graduating in May. Um, and I'm from Dublin, Georgia originally, and I'm very excited to have this conversation with you all tonight.
Okay. Our other panelist is Miss Miracle Wortham, and we're also glad to have you with us. Please say hello to our audience and share a bit about who you are.
Hello, everyone. How are you all today? My name is Miracle Wortham. I am from Georgia as well, a little small town, Pine Mountain, Georgia. I am currently in school as well, getting my business degree, and I am so excited to be here and to share and talk with you all as well.
Okay. So thank you so much for being a part of this discussion. It is a pleasure to have both of you here. Tonight we're going to discuss social media, voting, and civic engagement with our panelists, and we want to engage you with our audience as well. This is an interactive conversation, so please feel free to share your thoughts and your comments. Also, questions. I would like to remind everyone that Fair Count is nonpartisan, nonprofit, focused on increasing civic engagement and voter participation across the South. As such, we do not advocate for the election, re-election, nor defeat of any candidate or political party. We want to get right into the discussion. Sorry, you guys.
That's okay. So that's great. Thank you both for introducing yourselves. And let's go ahead and get straight into the first question. So, youth of color have historically voted at lower rates, though at some points in the past years, Black youth have closely matched and sometimes surpassed their white peers in voter turnout. Tell us why you vote and why you believe the Black youth vote matters. We'll start with you, Miracle.
And that's also a great question. I feel like it is important for us as African American young people to vote because our voice simply just needs to be heard. We are the millennials, we are the next generation to come abroad, and our vote stands for something, and it is very important. I vote because I want to simply affect change. I want to bring change into the community and to know that, yes, even though I'm a young person, my voice still matters, my vote still matters. So it's all about being that change person that we can to affect not only our community but our community as a whole.
Thanks, Miracle. Let me ask Jalecia. So why do you think um tell us why you vote and why you think the Black youth vote matters?
Well, I vote just to echo what Miracle said because I just want my voice to be heard. Oftentimes, us as young people, we think that by voting, we're just casting a vote that no one really cares. Nobody really puts an importance on what we really have to say, what we really want people to understand. Um, I think it's important for us as African Americans to vote because we used to didn't have that right. Our ancestors fought very hard for us to have this opportunity, and I think it'd be doing us a disservice if we didn't use it. So that's why I vote because I can and I have that right to now.
Awesome.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. So, Jalecia, where do you get trustworthy election information, and how does that information impact your core beliefs and values about voting?
So there are a numerous amount of different places that I choose to get different information from. I watch Fox sometimes, CNN. I also use social media as well as certain avenues to help me guide certain decision makings because I like to see what other people think. Not necessarily that I want them to change my mind the way I value and believe about certain aspects, but having a different outlook and be like, okay, I'm looking at it from this particular angle. What if, someone who thinks differently than I am can kind of show me, okay, this is why they think this way. Maybe we can work together to put a common interest together to go on forward and okay, so I think this way, they think that way. If we think like this together, we can affect change and bring about a whole different outcome altogether. So.
Okay, okay. And do you have any thoughts on that, Miracle?
Completely agree with Jalecia as well. Our biggest thing, like I said, is just to affect change. It doesn't. I usually use social media for my outlook on voting to see, other people's comments because I'm a big observer and I want to see where everyone's mindsets is and to see what better outcome, what better solutions we can have. Because sometimes us as African Americans, we can be so single minded and we can always reflect on, well, this person did that and that person did that, instead of having our own opinions to value who we are as a culture and as individuals. So yes, it is very important, and it makes my core values to want to be able to reach out to help other people to see that we all have a voice and that we need to be heard.
Right.
I think that's great. Talking about collaborative thinking and bringing those thoughts together to come up with a better solution. So, thanks so much for sharing that information with us. So, I have a follow up on the question that Jalen just asked. So, this question is for either panelist to answer. You can jump in. And we're also asking everybody in the audience to answer this as well. So, please drop your answers in the chat. So, contrary to stereotypes, researchers have found that young people rely on news media, especially local news, to learn about issues and elections. However, young adults reported that they don't often see issues that they care about reflected in media coverage. So, what issues do you think would bring young adults to the polls to vote and why?
I would simply say active listening. And when they, because some people are a type of visual learners, and they're the type to where they want to see something before they're able to invoice their input into anything. So
Right.
I would say active listening would be one of the things to help us, and also to see, like I said earlier, that change. Once we see that change, because let's be honest, usually when you vote, you don't really get the person that you normally vote for. So you're always like, well, what's the point of me doing it? But that's the wrong mindset to have. We have to have the mindset of whether my person wins or not, knowing that I voted, my people will be proud of me. The people that did this for me, the people that paved the way to make this change, will be proud of the progress us as individuals can make.
Right. Right. I totally agree with that, especially being a young adult. I can honestly say that we definitely want to see. We want to see the results. So I'm gonna move on. And that's with Jalecia. As a person of faith, do you believe that the church has a responsibility to keep the church informed about voting?
Yes. So I view my church as like a big family. So I treat it as such. If I can't trust my family or my church per se, then I'm not gonna trust anyone else. So I feel like as a church family or a group all together, they have the tools and necessary information to help guide us to make a good decision, to help guide us to where if we don't know something, they should have the answers per se. So as far as like voting locally, I know me personally, I'm not as informed anymore because I'm not in Dublin all the time. I'm in Augusta. So I rely on my family. We have like a little group chat. They keep us updated. We have like a youth group chat. So they're like, okay, this is coming up in the community. This is coming up. Make sure you're here. Try to be here. Like, just keeping us informed and making sure that we have the necessary news or tools that we could use instead of just leaving us out to dry. Because, like I said, most of us aren't in Dublin at the moment because we're out in school. So, as a church, they do a really good job of keeping us all in the loop and making sure that they give their youth the opportunity to be heard. Like, if it wasn't for my pastor, I wouldn't even have this opportunity to have this conversation with you all today. So, I'm
Wow.
so grateful for that.
Wow.
Okay, so um, like you said, it's kind of hard to keep up with local elections and things like that, especially when you move away for college or anything like that. So, one way that your church has been able to inform people has been to have like group messages. That's what you said?
Yes, ma'am. We have a all of us who went off to college, even those in high school. So I guess the young adult population of my church, we have a group meet. Well, it's a Facebook Messenger actually, group chat. And our pastor, first lady, like all the people who hold positions in our church, they're all in there, and just keep us informed about what's going on with the church and the community, volunteer opportunities we can have, things like that.
Okay. Miracle, how about you? How does your church keep you informed, or do you feel like the church has that responsibility to keep you informed?
Definitely. As a young minister in the gospel and in the ministry, it is very important for us to be able to access our vote. I would say events at church, like back to school giveaways. My parents are pastors actually, and we just had a back to school giveaway, and we had the all the information, and we wanted to exercise people's ways of voting to tell them, hey, come on, push your vote. It matters. Your vote matters. You matter as a person. And that's what sometimes I feel like we as young people, we forget that we matter. And in this community, we matter not only to God, to our community, to the African American society, to any society that is here. We matter. And we just have to have that faith in God and in ourselves, knowing that it will happen for us if we just got to remain steadfast and just know, hey, our vote matters and we are people.
Okay, thanks for that. So, you feel like your faith actually ties into voting? Is that what you believe, Miracle and Jalecia? Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree. Um, my faith drives everything that I do. So it drives my voting, it drives what I believe in and my values. So definitely.
Okay. And that's really interesting to hear because I know there's a big with working with faith institutions, we find a big separation with church and state, of course, like it's supposed to be legally. However, there is a way for churches to communicate nonpartisan information to their congregations, and Fair Count definitely wants to be able to help with that. All right. So,
Thank you for those great responses. I'm going to pose this next question to the entire panel as well. We know that voters should remain informed and prepared to ensure that we are able to protect our vote and cast a ballot. Do you believe young adults know what is required, for example, valid ID, polling locations, dates, when they go to the polls, and are they comfortable with the actual process of voting?
So I was actually on Tuesday of this week involved with the voter registration drive here at my school. And I guess I can say that statement is kind of false because a lot of them had no clue what all was needed. Like they left their IDs. Okay, I really need my ID. Like, yes, you need your ID. They didn't know like what's upcoming with like voting, what polls are coming up. Um, what else did they didn't actually know the actual process of how it went registering because a lot of them weren't registered, which I was surprised because I did that in high school. So to see so many college students who weren't already registered, it was great to register them, but it was kind of puzzling me like, wow, haven't you already done this, you know? Because some of them were like 20. I'm just, okay, you had 2 years, you could have made a difference somewhere, and you didn't do it because you weren't registered. And when I asked them like why happened, they was like, I mean, I just never really wanted to vote. I'm just like, why not? It's very important. And they,
Right.
like you said, Miracle, they were like, my voice really doesn't matter. No one I pick is gonna win, so why am I voting? I'm just like, that's the stigma that people have that we have to get away from. If we're gonna see anything change in this world. Like I used to think that same way until I started doing my own research about things, and that's when my mindset changed about voting. And I think that's the problem a lot of us youth have. We listen to like older people, not saying something wrong with that, but we have to break that generational thing of
Right.
my grandma thought like this or my grandpa thought like that, because I don't think like my grandma or my grandpa. So my values and my beliefs are different, so I vote differently than they do. I think that's very important to realize that as well with the growing youth population.
Right. That's great.
And Miracle, did you have anything to say?
To piggyback off of what Jalicia was saying, we as young people have to know that we set the standard. This is our time. This is our generation. So, what better way to represent us as a community than to vote? And she's right. You know, we always look at, well, my vote didn't happen and all that stuff, but it doesn't matter. Long as you're being that change, long as you're being that person that's saying, hey, you know, even if my person didn't win, I'm still going to vote because I know I matter. I know I have a purpose here because we all have a purpose here on earth, whether it's to vote, whether it's to run for the election, whatever you choose to do in your life, you always have a voice and you're always able to do what your mindset is. But we have to know that we are trendsetters and we can set that standard to vote to help bring forth change and bring forth more development in our youth and our community as millennials.
Right. Thank you
Oh,
so much, Miracle.
yeah, so I think we're going to have Danita, one of our faith team members, come on in and give us some quick voting information while we're all here. So that's for everyone that's watching, everyone in the chat. We're going to get that information from her.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you all are enjoying this panel because I am definitely enjoying it. My name is Danita Hike. I am a faith lead organizer with a faith organizing team here at Fair Count. And we simply wanted to get on and talk about faith and actually tell the faith leaders how they can get involved. So, what we would like for you to do, faith leaders, and especially those young faith leaders who are going back and speaking to their peers, make a commitment to keep your congregation and community informed about voting. Use your worship services, your events, your youth groups to share information about voting and call on neighboring people to faith to maximize your efforts. What do we mean by that? Help people make a plan to vote. So what do you need to know? You need to know when early voting, you need to know when registering to vote ends. So you can register to vote all the way up to October 11th. You can also get request your absentee ballot between August 22nd, which is already passed, all the way up to October 28th. Early in-person voting starts on October 17th. The general voting day that a lot of people typically wait for is November 8th, and potential runoff election will be on December 6th. So what does that mean to you? When I say make a plan to vote, decide today how you're going to vote. And of course, early voting is what we promote you all, would ask for you all to do. Even if you go late, but we still ask that you go on and do it during the early voting process, because if the quicker you can get that vote in, the more you can be out and letting people know that you voted to encourage others to do the same. We are calling on all faith leaders and all faith organizations. Why? Because we have come this far by faith. I hope that you all continue to enjoy the rest of our panel discussion for tonight. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Danita, and thank you all for this great conversation. And for anyone just joining us, we've been talking with young people of faith about civic engagement, social media, and the youth vote. So we appreciate you all being here. This is an interactive conversation, so please share your thoughts with us and send your questions in the comments. I would like to remind everyone that Fair Count is a nonpartisan nonprofit focused on increasing civic engagement and voter participation across the South. As such, we do not advocate for the election, re-election, nor defeat of any candidate or political party. All right, so let's continue our discussion tonight. So I'd like to open the next few questions for anyone. I read recently in an article about the role that generational differences play in American politics. The article notes that compared to other generations, the emergence of and usage of social media provides a newer and different explanation for how young voters vote. So, how, if at all, does the information you find on social media impact your core beliefs and values about voting? And I guess we could start with you, Jalecia. I think you talked a little bit about generational differences earlier. So, how does social media play a part in how you vote?
So I find this question a little bit funny. I was just having a discussion the other day with my friends about something similar. So how do I start? So I tend to have sorry for the background noise. I'm about to get but I tend to have very beliefs about different things that my peers and even some of my older family members disagree with. And social media is oftentimes on the opposite end of the spectrum than I am. And it causes me to like think about myself, okay, am I wrong? Like for thinking the way I think or feeling the way I feel about a certain thing. And in having conversations with my friends that, like I said earlier, it gives me a different outlook, a different perspective to view it from because, like Miracle stated, I'm only viewing it from my point of view, from what I have experienced, what I've been taught, things of that nature. So when I have peers who come from different backgrounds than I have, and we have a conversation, I think it's important that I'm using and taking in what they're telling me because I may not have before talking to them had thought about it this way. And that means that I'm not fully being aware of what could be changed by everyone bringing together their ideas and just focus on, okay, my way is right. So I'm going to go here without no input at all because social media is one of the biggest influencers that I know my generation has on its life at the moment. We have many influencers, YouTubers, things like that. So we are easily persuaded left or right, regardless of anything. So me personally, I love YouTube now. So I watch a lot of different YouTube people. And I know there's one particular person that I watch. I'll believe anything she says just because it's her. Like I just love her that much. So I'm pretty sure people have like-minded kind of thoughts, like same thing, like I just said, with people that they feel like are the influences of their life. So I think social media has a big impact on the way people think about different things.
Oh, so let me ask you the same question, Miracle. How does the information that you find on social media impact your core beliefs and values about voting?
Usually honestly makes me be open-minded because I'm the type of person where I like to see what other people's objectives and views are on things. So that way, when I'm talking to my parents, like my parents, they have so much wisdom. They're also pastors, and not only that, my friends, we'll be chatting and we talk about different stuff. And sometimes we mention the fact of, voting and how social media impacts it so much. And a lot of celebrities are a big impact for us as a community because you see a certain celebrity celebrity believe in something, so automatically you always are based on that. Jalecia, I agree with you. I'm like that with Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts. She can say something, I'm like, oh, that's profound. That's me. That's me. Yes, yes. But at the same time, I still go back to my references, which is like biblical, my Bible, to see, okay, this is where she got the information from. So it's always about being open minded for me to be able to say, okay, this is your view, but let me still go back and research and do my knowledge check to see how this is affecting us as a whole, as a body, as social media. Because let's just be honest, everybody has Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Anybody can post something that you're just head over heels of what they're believing and what they're posting. But we just have to be open minded and active to knowing that, yes, this person might post that, but at the same time, let's do our research to be better and to know from our own perspectives as well.
So I'm glad that you brought that up about doing your research. So how do you validate the information that you find on social media, right? So you say you do research. What does that look like for you, Miracle?
Google has become my best friend. Not only Google, but like different blogs. I'm a podcaster now, so I look at different podcasts to help me out as well. And that's just how I do my research, through podcasts, through Google, through different articles, different blogs.
So how do you validate the information that you see on social media, Jalecia? Like if one of your friends or somebody shares a meme or something like that, like what steps do you go through to validate or vet that information?
Basically what Miracle said, I love, like, again, I'm a social media girl. I live for it. So Google, because I'm in school, I've learned how to use Google and different avenues to help me find different types of information, as well as podcasts. I've started doing that about a month ago, so I enjoy doing that as well. So just different avenues like that. But honestly, I'm still working on validating my information that I receive from social media sites. Because I was one who felt guilty to whatever I saw on social media, I went for, especially on Facebook. I said, okay, Facebook, Mama, Facebook told me the other day that something happened. She was like, girl, that's not true. I'm just like, well, I saw it on Facebook, so I don't know. So I'm still learning how to validate my information, but Google and podcasts have helped me so far, but I'm still working on it.
Yeah, I think that happens to a lot of us. Like it's been years since I've been in college, but I was a history major. So if I see something on Facebook, I'm like, wait a minute, let me see. What is this a valid source? Let me go to Google. Oh, let me try to go to Twitter and see if somebody else put it. Like we all have to do um some extra steps in research, right? And I'm sure you do the same thing, Jalen, because sometimes I see people just share a meme and I'm like, I wonder if they even look that up. And
Yeah,
that's how a lot of misinformation or disinformation gets spread.
right. I definitely go to Google. As soon as I see one thing on Facebook, well, I check the comments first. I have to go to the comments and I see what everyone's saying up under the comments. Then I go to Google. And that's how I validate my information from social.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you definitely have to validate it because, like you said, we'll be like, well, I saw on Facebook, and you're like, Facebook is not a reliable source. So, okay, so the next question, we're opening up to the chat as well, and of course, our panelists. So, what is your preferred method of voting? So, as we mentioned earlier, here in Georgia, we have three choices to cast our ballots. You can vote absentee, by mail. The second choice is early in person voting. And those are the 3 weeks from Monday, October 17th through Friday, November 4th. And the third option is actually voting on election day, which is November 8th. So please let us know what your plan is in the chat. And Jalecia, I'll start with you. Tell us how you're planning to vote in the midterms, and if any of your family or friends have made a plan to vote as well.
So normally me, my mom, my sister, and my dad, we go to early voting. But recently, I know last year I didn't get to go with them because I had finals around that time. So I actually ended up not voting, sadly, because I just couldn't get to Dublin where I'm registered to vote. And at the time, I didn't know the process of getting the absentee ballot mailed to me. So my mom helped me get that set up. So I'll be voting through absentee ballot from here to mail home.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So that's some really important information. that's out there, about how do college students vote when they're away from home. So thank you for that response, Jalicia. How about you, Miracle? How are you or any of your family or friends? How are you all planning to vote in the midterms?
And on voting in early in person. We like to do stuff face to face. I got to make sure it's in there. So yes, early in person voting. We all go together. We're very close knit, so we do pretty much everything together. So I would say early in person would be how we're gonna vote this year as well.
Okay. Have you all made a plan? Like, do you know the day? Do you know the time? Do you know the time? Do you know anything like that?
Not yet. We're working on it, but not yet. We're in the works. It's in the works. It's in the works. It's in the works.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we're super excited that you're all planning to be heard in this election. What do you think could be done to encourage civic participation amongst younger voters this election cycle, Miracle?
Advertising, and the biggest thing is word of mouth goes so far.
Yeah.
I would say, posting different banners up on social media, Facebook, like we believe everything, let's get on Facebook, posting, word of mouth, making phone calls, group text messages. We have this app for my church called Group Me, where we're able to interact with other ministries. So Group Me apps, different things to help push the word out there.
Okay.
And for me, just speaking from a local standpoint, I think if candidates cater more towards their younger audience, maybe they can get more votes from the younger people. Um, I just personally, social media is great, but I think that we need more than just social media. Only because, like, what if some people? I know when I go on my little tangents, when I feel like I'm mentally not there with school, I get off my social media. I shut everything down. So it's like, what do you do then when people are not on social media? They do things without social media. How are you going to reach them? So, like, I know how we do drives at school, like just making it community based, bringing things out, maybe a little gathering, social gatherings around the community, something like that. Because again, we're very interactive people. I know me, I love people. I like to be in front of people. So if you invite me somewhere, they got food, I'm there. So it's like doing stuff like that, not just social media, but like what do you think will engage like your younger population? That's what people need to be doing. And make sure that you make us feel heard. I know that's for me, that's one of my biggest things. I don't like when people lie to me, and I don't like when you tell me you're gonna do something and you don't do it. That's something that blows my mind. So I think that's a very important aspect when choosing who you're gonna vote for. Like, okay, I'm gonna vote for you, but are you gonna listen to me when you get in office and kind of implement things that are gonna help me in my future successes? So
Okay. So what kind of messaging are you all seeing like amongst your college age friends when it comes to voting? Like, are you seeing any messaging from your schools to encourage voting? Are your friends encouraged to vote? How does that look?
Being an online student, I'm strictly from home. So with us, we have like newsletters that we use for our class and for our school. And what our professors do is they post these weekly newsletters, and it has voting materials on there telling us what apps to go to, what different links that we can look up, different research about elections, previous elections, and upcoming things of that nature. So that's what helps us within my schooling.
So our SGA here on campus, like I said earlier this week, I was actually in a voter registration drive at school. So they're very good at making it out in the open in the public. So like she said, we have a group message thing as well. Because I'm Greek, so we have a Greek group chat. They posted in there. Our regular nursing group chat, they posted in there. Like there are certain people on campus who are very adamant on people getting out and using their voice. So I think those people, because without them, I don't think a lot of people would know what's going on as far as voting goes. So just the messaging things as well as like advertisement on campus is what my school does.
Okay. So thank you for that answer. And we're almost to the end of our discussion. And we want to close strong by having our panel talk directly to our audience. So You're a salesman, you're talking directly to the audience. I'll start with you, Jalecia. Can you give our audience a pitch or a public service announcement that would encourage your peers to decide to be heard by voting?
Yes, I would definitely tell them to learn from the past, to live in the present, and create our future. Because vote because your past self, we didn't know better. And at this current age, we're learning to be better, and that our future selves could be proud of the fact that we made those changes necessary so we can live up to those standards when we are older adults. And we're teaching our younger people what to expect and what to do.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Miracle, can you give us a pitch?
Will say, be that example. Let us have our voices heard. Let us be the change, the example, the voice for our young people, for our kids coming up. We are millennials, so let's set that example. Let's open up. Let's let our voices be heard, and let's just say, "Hey, we can do this. Yes, we can, and we got this."
Okay, thank you, Miracle. That was wonderful. And thank you all for getting us inspired. We've reached our last question of the night. And again, we appreciate you all for joining us this evening. I'll start in closing with you, Miracle. What advice would you give us at Fair Count to reach young voters and encourage them to cast their ballot?
Say more events, more advertisements. You could never have enough of that. And you, like she said earlier, Jalecia, a gathering or different communities activities that will help ensure that we are able to vote and that us as young people are out there actually voting for a cause. So I would say different events.
I definitely think events as well. I always say that young people like to get out and chill. We want food. So pass it over to you, Jalecia.
Echoing everything that Miracle already said, but also I know me, I relate better to people who are, I guess, look like me. So like maybe having a younger spokesperson. I'm not saying you guys are old, but like somebody like our like teenage age, like in your within your group circle that can actually come out and talk to us and show us like why it's important. So like just talking to like someone a little older, it's like talking to my mom, but I want to talk to like a friend, you know? So like having someone younger to come in and like, okay, this is why you should vote. And I'm gonna tell you how it's inspired my life and how it can help change yours as well. So just having a like-minded age person, I would say, and gathering with food. Yeah.
That's a good point. And I'll say that's what's so great about Fair Count is that we have people of all ages and all walks of life all over the state. So there's someone, I mean, even you can be a part of the Fair Count team and volunteer however you want to, however you feel comfortable. And you could be the person that you're looking for to spread that information. And like Miracle said, you know, events, we actually have a 45 county bus tour that's kicking off soon. So we'll be in several different counties around the state, you know, throwing events. And hopefully we'll be able to see you too at the events that are closest to you. So thank you all. Thank you both so much. This has been a wonderful conversation, and we hope all of you enjoyed watching it as well. And we want to thank our guests for their time and insights and leaving us with a good word and so much to think about. And to our audience, please follow us on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram, both at Fair Count. And on Facebook, we're at Fair Count Georgia. And on YouTube, we're at Fair Count Video. And once you go to YouTube, you can watch or share this conversation again. So please also take time to visit vote-365.org right now for more voting information and to see what's actually on your ballot. While you're there, you can go ahead and commit to vote to be heard today because an informed voter is a protected voter. We're grateful for each of you and each of you on our panel and in our audience. So thank you for joining us, and we hope that you have a great rest of your night.